Oh yes, so there's all this stuff flying around in regards to Mark Golding's legitimacy for, holding dual citizenship. And even though I've already expressed in my, you know, my second to last video saying that I don't agree with him personally holding dual citizenship, I've also pointed out in that video about Mark Golding dual citizenship that the Constitution protects his rights and from my interpretation of what I'm looking at it, I think he's perfectly in his rights to hold. He's not doing anything wrong legally, but I don't think ethically is wrong. Ethically, it's wrong. But hold on a minute, my mic. Let me just adjust this. I don't like to have my mic showing on screen. Oops. Let me lower it down to about there. That's fine. Yeah, sorry about that. I could have cut that out, really. I'm just going to make it flow. I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to go on the fly. No stopping, no editing, just going. Right. Now, for that reason, I've decided that there's somebody who has sort of pointed out that, in section, some people have quoted section 39, some people have quoted section 40, and some people have quoted section 41 of the Constitution that basically says, he has no right under the Constitution to be leader or even member of parliament if he has dual citizenship, because it means if you have dual citizenship with Britain, that means you've sworn allegiance to a foreign power or foreign state, etc., etc., and you can't have two masters, basically, which on the first surface and the way it's written is fine. The problem with the Constitution is it's not explicitly clear. So what that does is it allows those who are for Mark Golding to argue in favor of Mark Golding not doing anything wrong legally and not breaking any laws. But the same Constitution in section 39, section 40 and 41 leaves it open for people to also equally argue against the fact and say, oh, it's illegal and his position is untenable in terms of the Constitution. Now, one particular person have pointed this out to me, and I've actually commended him for it and say, you know what, that's an excellent point. I've been seeing this flying around, and I must admit I haven't read that part of the Constitution. So I said, you know what, let me go back and let me revisit and take a look. And that's what I've done. So I will say this, though. The Constitution is not very clear, and it leaves a lot of stuff open to interpretation. And I'll go through that in a second. But before I do that, let's just jump over into the document, and so we can sort of iron out a few things going forwards, okay? So here we are on the document. I'm just going to jump over to it now. And as you can see, we're doing the revised version of the Jamaica Constitution 1962 with amendments through to 2015. And the bit what I'll do first, I'll go and revisit a bit of it which I found I went over and I was using to argue that Mark Golding has not done anything wrong. And that bit is here in section 9, Commonwealth citizen. So I'll just recap that before I visit 39, 40, and 41. Sections 39, section 40, and section 41. So let's jump into section 9 first. Hope it's legible on your screen, which is this particular bit, because this is what I use to argue that, his rights are protected. So section 9, Commonwealth citizen, every person who under this constitution or any act of parliament is a citizen of Jamaica or under any enactment for the time being in force in any country to which this section applies is a citizen of that country shall, by virtue of that citizenship, have the status of Commonwealth citizen, which is the situation with Mark Golding because he holds a dual citizenship with a British passport. Paragraph 2 of section, or should you say section 9.2 says, every person who is a British subject without citizenship under the British Nationality Act 1941, or who continues to be a British subject under section 2 of the Act, shall by virtue of that status have the status of a Commonwealth citizen. See, that's that one I've just read. And that also protects him. But here's my first question to people. My first question is, why does the Jamaica Constitution has all this stuff about Britain and the Commonwealth in it? I wonder why. No, I'm sure there's nothing in here mentioning America or Japan or China or any one of these other countries, or Spain, Italy, why is always Britain that's been, mentioned in the Commonwealth? I wonder why. It's obvious, because Jamaica is part of the Commonwealth. And here's another question before we jump into the other section that people have pointed out, and it's a fair point. The question I'll ask them is, who is the head of state? So let me just jump back over to me quickly. So my question is, let me just adjust my screen a little bit more, but there's a little bit of a glare that I want to get rid of. Okay, so yeah, so my question is, who is the head of state? Think. So you have a situation where you have Jamaica, who is part of the Commonwealth. You have Britain, that's part of the Commonwealth. So the question is, who is the head of state as far as Jamaica is concerned? I'll tell you, it's the King. The King of England, to be precise. He's the head of state. Now, Jamaica is in the Commonwealth, and Britain is in the Commonwealth. Now, if you notice, Jamaica had sort of whatever the claim was, a independence from colonial rule in 1962 or whatever. The Constitution, which is the one we're looking at now, is drafted from 1962 with amendments up to 2015. As far as I'm aware, there's more amendments on stuff being updated for 2024, but there's some sticking plasters on that in terms of going republic. But for right now, what I'm saying is Jamaica is part of the British Commonwealth. And because Jamaica is part of the British Commonwealth, the head of state is the King. You understand? So when you have a head of state as the King, it tells you a lot. This is the reason why Jamaica has a Governor General. The Governor General is not elected to represent the people of Jamaica. The Governor General is selected by the King to represent him in Commonwealth countries and colonial countries. So any country that's still a colony, because not all countries in the Commonwealth are colonies. I've explained that in my previous videos already. Go back and watch them. So you can have, in the Commonwealth, you can have some countries that's a colony, and some countries that's not a colony, but they're part of the Commonwealth. Okay? So Jamaica, for all intensive purposes, we've had independence, and now we're not a colony anymore, speech marks, but we're still within the Commonwealth. Okay? In that respect. But because of that, the head of state is the King. Now, once Jamaica comes republic, then it's a situation where Jamaica will completely remove themselves from the Commonwealth and the Privy Council. Because you remember I've showed, which is in the video I'm going to be posted after this one, that even in the Privy Council, when I looked through it, unless I missed something, I didn't see any country that was outside the Commonwealth that was in the Privy Council. So when you see Andrew Olney saying, oh, you want to sort of step away from become a republic, but you want to keep the Privy Council, that tells me that, well, you're not particularly free, because I'm not sure if that's even allowed legally. I don't know. I'm no expert on it. Hopefully a lawyer will see this, and or solicitor, whatever, and they'll put their 2 cents in. But there's enough of that. Let me go back to these sections, because one particular person that saw my video, I'm not sure if he's a subscriber, he made a very excellent point, and I commented on it. I said, listen, excellent point, and I'm going to do a video on it. Now, I was supposed to do the video after I dropped my Andrew Holness video, but something says to me, I always follow my perception. Something says to me, no, let the Andrew video wait. Let the Andrew Holness video wait. Let's do this one, because a lot of stuff is flying around, and a lot of people saying people are lying. The Constitution don't protect you. Section 40 and 41 clearly states that that Mark Golding is illegal and and that's a good point. Man, not rubbish no point. That's a good point. That's a good point, because I already make it crystal clear that I don't agree with Mark Golding having dual citizenship if he's in Parliament and he's going to run for Prime Minister. The Constitution protects his rights legally, but ethically the optics looks wrong. This is what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, he's not obligated by any law to renounce his citizenship. If he was American or Chinese or Japanese or some other country that's outside the Commonwealth, then yes, he would have to do it the same way Darrell Vaz had to do it back in 2008, 2009. Oh no, back in when the JLP was in opposition and he was shadow minister. he had to do it back then, because under that situation, the Constitution wouldn't have allowed it, because America is not within the British Commonwealth. Do you understand? So that's that. But let's just jump into this, because this is going to be nice and juicy, and I'm going to be as succinct as I can as well. But there's some things in here that I need to point out and clarify. So let's go. So we've already sort of gone through this as a recap. Now let me go to section 39, 40, and 41, which is the bone of contention by those who are against the fact that, you know, whether this legislation or constitution allows Mark Golding to still remain as a dual citizen or not. So let's go. So here we are, section 39, section 40, and obviously if you scroll down a little bit, there's section 41. So we're going to delve in each of those just quickly. I'm not going to go through the whole entire thing, because every bit here doesn't apply to Mark Golding. There's only certain sections, or should I say certain paragraphs of each section applies specifically what they're using to sort of have a defense to say Mark Golding's position is untenable. Okay. So first up, we're going to deal with 39. So in section 39 of the Constitution, it says qualification for members of Senate and House of Representatives. Now you have to look at these side note bullet points over here. Don't lose track of them, because they kind of give you an idea of what it's referring to, whether it's the eligibility of second chamber, eligibility of first chamber, eligibility for head of government, and eligibility for cabinet, minimum age for chamber, whatever. So we're going to go through that. So let's just jump into this bit first. So subject to the previous, sorry, let me just read that. I was looking at something else. Subject to the provisions of section 40 of this Constitution, any person who at the date of his appointment or nomination for election is a Commonwealth citizen, yeah, of age of 21 years and upwards, yeah, and has been ordinarily resident in Jamaica for the or for the immediately preceding 12 months, shall be qualified to be appointed as a senator or elected as a member of the House of Representatives, and no other person shall be qualified. So that's that bit there. Now, Mark Golding has passed this test because he was born in Jamaica. He's lived in Jamaica for you know, more than you know, he's over the age of 21, obviously, and you know, he's been in Jamaica for quite some time. He's resided for quite some time. Now we're going to jump into, and keep an eye on all these notes over here. Now it says in section 40 deals with the disqualification. So 39 deals with the qualification, and this is all. Some people can misinterpret information to contradict. Otherwise, if we were to qualify what's in here, then that would obviously contradict 39. So we have to use a bit more. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm no legal expert, so lawyers can look at it. I'm just using my common sense and my logic and interpret it. But I'm open to anyone who can say, well, your interpretation is wrong. And with that, I would say, you know what, they need to write the Constitution and be a bit more specific with more clarity, because this is just opening up a can of worms where those who are sort of the opponents of Mark Golding would use this certain sections to argue for it, and other people use another section to argue against it. It's a bit like the Bible, or confusing it is, where you can use section of the Bible to justify violence, and you can use another section of the Bible to say turn the other cheek. You know, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and turn the other cheek. Now, obviously, you have to take that in context. It depends on the circumstances in which it applies. Otherwise, some people are going to argue, well, I'm justifying to do what I do because the Bible says eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And some people are going to say, well, you shouldn't have done it. You should forgive, turn the other cheek. Do you understand what I mean? And the Constitution right here in this scenario is exactly doing the same thing. People are using this split to argue for and against a particular situation when you have to take it in context. I hear a lot of lawyers and solicitors say, you know, everything is within context. You have to remember that this law was passed back in 1962, so the mindset back then was different. And remember, this Constitution was drafted in 1962, just after Jamaica had independence, so-called independence, but I've argued that Jamaica is still a vassal state of Britain, with the monarch, King Charles, as the head of state, which is still the case until today, right? That's still the case until today under the British Commonwealth. And, you know, that's why you have a Governor General that's sitting in Jamaica right now, that's overseeing the day-to-day administrations of Jamaica. That's why you see the King's Mace that's inside the parliament, that king's mace is another symbol that the ultimate person with power is Britain, which is by the king. Then you have the Privy Council, which is the ultimate Supreme Court over Jamaica's own Supreme or High Court, where they can overturn any decision that's made in the highest court of Jamaica. What does that tell you? Again, it's because of the Privy Council. You understand me? So that's the situation there. So so let's just jump into this now, because a lot of people are saying get to it. So let me just jump to it. So the person in the comments particularly outlined section 40. Let me clear my throat. And in section 40 it says, no person shall be qualified for election as a member of the House of Representatives who is a member of a Senate, of the Senate, is disqualified for election by any law for the time being in force in Jamaica by reason of his holding or acting in any office, the functions of which involves any responsibility for or in connection with the conduct of any election or any responsibility for the compilation or revision of any electoral register. No person shall be qualified to be appointed as a senator or elected as a member of the House of Representatives who, and this is the bit of contention now, what people are using, is by virtue of his own act under any acknowledgement. So let me just highlight that. Is by virtue of his own act under any acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power or state. Okay, let's stick a pin there. Let's go further. Holds or is acting in any public office or the office of a judge of the Supreme Court or judge of the Court of Appeal, or save as is otherwise provided by Parliament, is a member of a defense force. So that's the side note to say different professions and legislators and restriction for armed forces. And obviously this bit is eligibility for the second chamber, which applies to this bit here. And this is the bone of contention that the guy that I've communicated with on my channel is referring to when he says section 42. This is the section he's talking about. So remember this, because what I've done is I've created some other documents so we can break this down a bit more, because a lot of people are, in my opinion, are misinterpreting stuff. Now, if we go, all this stuff doesn't apply. These are to do with other stuff to do with whatever. That doesn't have nothing to do with Mark Golding anyway, so we don't have to go through it. I'm just going with the bits that the particular people are using on social media to argue their point. So section 41, tenure of office of senators and members of House of Representatives. Here we are. The seat of a member of either house shall become vacant upon the next dissolution of Parliament after he has been appointed or elected. So in other words, if when they dissolve a house or whatever it is, and when they say he, they mean he or she, is genderless, but it's just the terminology they use because it's the same colonial medieval sort of thing where men were the one who was the power all the time. But we're in 2024 now, so the Jamaican Constitution needs to reflect a more modern society and terminology in that respect. So if he resigns his seat, which means if he or she resigns his seat, okay? So it's just words, but we understand that it means he or she. It's just the way they word stuff in legal documents. Again, it says if he is absent from sitting of the House, if he is absent from sittings of the House for such period and in such circumstances as may be prescribed in the standing orders of the House. So we don't know, for this one, for instance, even though this is not in contention, but this is one of the points I'm going to bring to you. Now, we don't know what the standing orders of the House is, but it basically said if you're absent from sittings of the House. But for how long? How long is the absent kicks in before you get disqualified? But I suppose the Parliament, basically, which is the standing order of the House, which I'm assuming is the House of Parliament, they would have their own set of standing order rules as to how long that may be. I'm also assuming that every Commonwealth country or member country or state would have their own set of deadline as to the absentee before this kicks in to be disqualified, or is it the same across the board? The Constitution hasn't outlined it. It just says in the standing order. Now, we go on to say, if he ceases to be a Commonwealth citizen or takes any oath. So this is where people are using this bit again to argue, and this is the point I'm trying to make. Now, if anyone doesn't realize with logic that one is one is obviously contradicting the other in the same exact paragraph, unless obviously people are taking it out of context, because it says in the first line, if he ceases to be, which is he or she, ceases to be a Commonwealth citizen, yeah, or takes any oath or makes any declaration or acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to any foreign power or state, or does concurs in or adopts any act done with the intention that he shall become a subject or citizen of any foreign power or state. Now, clearly, if he ceases to be a Commonwealth, that would disqualify him. But Mark Golding hasn't ceased to be a Commonwealth citizen, has he? He's a British citizen and he's a Jamaican citizen, and both of those are within the Commonwealth, so he's a Commonwealth citizen. So he hasn't ceased. So therefore, the disqualification doesn't apply here, because he hasn't ceased to be a Commonwealth citizen. Now the other people think what people are saying is, well, yeah, well, you have a dual citizenship with America, with Britain, so therefore you take an oath of allegiance to be a British citizen, or take any oath to make any declaration or acknowledgement. Now here's the thing, that's a separate thing. If you're a Commonwealth citizen, or take the oath of any, or makes any declaration of acknowledgement or allegiance, obedience, or adherence of any foreign power or state, yeah, if Mark Golding had his dual citizenship from he was young, when his father did it for him, a lot of people are saying, oh, he only got his Jamaican passport when he was 21 or 41 or whatever the case may be. Now, anyone who has never held any type of passport probably was fooled by that comment that I think Darrell Vars made, because even though he posted that on Twitter, that doesn't actually prove that that was his first passport. That could have just basically mean he's renewed his passport when he was 41. But if someone tells you that I've had my dual citizenship from he was a young child, and his parents who were both British, mom and father and mother, correct me if I'm wrong about the mother, but I've done a video and I looked on Wikipedia and it said his mother was also British, not just the father. Yeah, but the mother, parents are Jamaican, whereas the father's parents are British. So, but as far as I understand it, Mark Golding's mom and dad are both British. Now, having said that, they would have obviously make all their children able to have dual citizenship in that respect. I understand that. But that doesn't mean he took an oath of allegiance. Can you imagine a young child? You don't take an oath of allegiance. Many people here that was born in Britain and we're naturalized as born citizens, we don't take an oath of allegiance. If you're a foreigner and you're coming into Britain and you apply for your permanent stay, or you go to America and you apply for your green card to stay there and work permanently, that doesn't mean you're a citizen. But if you apply for citizenship as a foreigner, then you're going to swear an oath of allegiance. But if your parents, due to your parents or your descendants, they've made sure that you've gotten your dual citizenship, it doesn't mean when he was 5 or 6 or 10 or 15, they drag him up to make the oath of allegiance, unless there's something I'm missing, because I've never, I'm a British citizen. I was born in Britain, and I've never taken an oath of allegiance because it's not necessary. That's prescribed for people who are foreign nationals. And you could argue that Mark Golding is a foreign national because he was born in Jamaica, but it's within the Commonwealth, and we're going to go through that. So in that respect, I don't see where this disqualifies him at all. Now, this is the bit that a lot of people are using to argue their point. Where it is, if any declaration or acknowledgement or allegiance, obedience, or an adherence to any foreign power or state. Now, the question I'll ask you is, remember the question I asked you earlier in the video? Who is the head of state? The head of state is the king. Go do your research. The head of state is the king. And he's and a monarch is the head of the Commonwealth. The British Commonwealth. Argument done. Jamaica have a governor general. Now, if the king wasn't the head of state, you couldn't have a governor general in Jamaica. He would have no legitimacy in that respect. The judicial system would not allow it. So the fact that there's a governor general sitting in Jamaica, he's there on the behest of the king. He represents the king. He represents the monarch. The Jamaican people, the Jamaican electorate, didn't elect him and put him there. Do you understand me? The only way you can remove him is to become a republic and completely remove yourself from the Commonwealth and also remove yourself from the Privy Council, then you're a free agent like America. Okay, so we need to understand that, because America don't have a governor general. You understand me? They don't have a governor general because they're not part of the Commonwealth. So I don't know why people are saying all them things, because people need to read. Now, here's the bit that the guy who said to me on my YouTube channel, if you swear any allegiance, obedience, etc., adherence, and all this acknowledgement to a foreign power or state. A foreign power or state, as I say, a lot of lawyers will tell you context matters. Now, take your mind back to 1962, just after Jamaica had independence, when this document was initially drafted, the original document. What that means is, far as the king is concerned, yeah, the head of state, which is the king, King Charles right now, is inherited there because the queen is passed. Anybody that's not within the Commonwealth, yeah, is seen as a foreign power or state. Okay? Now that we've read this, if any circumstances arise that, if he were not a member of the House, would cause him to be disqualified for appointment or election as such, virtue of paragraph, whatever. Now, what I've done, so we've read both bits, but what I did is just to make 41 D, yeah, and 40, 40B, yeah, to make it more, legible to read, I've created these two documents. So as you can see here, it's the same thing, but I've just sort of broke it down. So eligibility for first chamber, and this is section 40. As you remember, you can go over here and you can see section 40 is there, 1 and 2, and then you can see section 40. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me enlarge it back. Section 1 and 2, and the first bit in section 40 is, people are using this bit here that are put in brackets, and they're saying this is the paragraph why they're using to justify that Mark Golding is not legitimately, he's breaking the rules, he's breaking the law, and his position is untenable because it's illegal for him to have dual citizenship, because by virtue of his own act under any acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, and adherence to a foreign power or state. Foreign power or state in this context means any power or state that's outside of the Commonwealth. Britain is not within the Commonwealth. As I say, context matters. I'm not a lawyer, but I've heard lawyers say this all the time. And I understand that context matter. Logically, all the stuff that we've read about the British Commonwealth and all the Commonwealth member states and Commonwealth citizens. Now, this obviously means any country that's not within the British Commonwealth would be regarded as a foreign power or state. So in as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, Australia, Canada, Jamaica, and all the other sort of Caribbean islands and whatever that's within the Commonwealth, is quite a bit of them, they are not regarded as a foreign power in regards to the Commonwealth. Okay, they're not, even though they're in a completely different country, they're in a foreign country, but they're not regarded as a foreign power or state if they're within the Commonwealth. Because back then, you have to think about it, the monarch had many colonies, yeah, and a lot of the colonies have since got independence. Some of them has got fake independence like Jamaica has, but most of them have independence and become republic, but they're still within the Commonwealth. So what this part of the Constitution is basically interpreting to say is, if you're outside of the Commonwealth, then you're a foreign power or state, like if you're in Jamaica, in America. But if you're within the Commonwealth, you're not regarded as a foreign power or state. And this is what a lot of people are using, and they're running with this foreign power and state and swear allegiance. Now, as I said to you, okay, let's put it another way. All you people that was born in Jamaica, yeah, did you swear allegiance to Jamaica on your birth certificate? After all the people that were born in Jamaica, answer my question. You're born in Jamaica, you're born and grow in Jamaica, you've never been abroad in your life, never jumped on a plane or a boat yet. Yeah? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever sworn allegiance, obedience, acknowledgement, or adherence to Jamaica, land you love? Did you do that? No, you didn't, did you? You just born, you get your birth certificate, and if you want to travel abroad, you get your Jamaican passport and you stamp your visa in it and you're gone. Correct? But there's no document that show that you or your parents swear allegiance to Jamaica when you did born? Never. So why all of a sudden you think that other people that born and grew up in a freedom other country swear allegiance? Because I didn't to Britain, but me born in Britain, but me never swear allegiance neither. And millions away never swear allegiance. So this is what I'm saying. This part of the law can be used for or against. And the bit that I don't like about this constitution is they've taken this paragraph and they should have tightened it up a bit more. They should have said, is by virtue of his own act under any acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power or state outside of the Commonwealth. That's the bit that missing, outside of the Commonwealth. Now, if they had said that, then it would have been, then would have tightened it up so people know, because everything else within the Constitution is telling us, especially when we went through Commonwealth citizen in Section 9, go back and check Section 9, yeah, it actually says if you're a British Commonwealth citizen, or if you're a Commonwealth citizen, then you're good. So, okay, in one hand, if you're a Commonwealth citizen, you're good, but at the same time, you know, foreign, if you swear allegiance to a foreign power, but he never swear allegiance. Mark Golding, unless he can show me a document that proves that Mark Golding, when he did born in Jamaica, or when he did get him British citizenship, him dual citizenship, when he was a baby, or when he get older, become an adult, at some point throughout his life, yeah, him swear allegiance, obedience, or adherence to Britain. Until you can show me that, you're just assuming something. You're taking this part of the law and you're running with it. And as I said to you, it's just like the Bible. One person will say, boy, the Bible says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, you know, so if any man do me nothing, I'm going to do him back something. But another part of the Bible says, but no, you can't do that, bro. You know, turn the other cheek and, you know, learn to forgive and forget and all that kind of stuff. That's in the Bible too. But everything has to be taken in context. Everything must be taken in context. And when you misinterpret information and you run off with your own narrative and you use your own interpretation of it, then that's when the confusion starts. And there's lots of stuff in the Bible that's like that. And there's lots of stuff in this constitution which is the same thing. And this bit I won't put in a square rectangle with underlined in red with the foreign state and power. It's not tightened up and clarify exactly what they mean by foreign power or state. But if you look at it in context of the Jamaica Constitution and the fact that it's within the Commonwealth and who is the head of state and all of that, and the fact that they've already said that Commonwealth citizens are legitimately, you know, within the Constitution legally and them good. So how come people are running on with the points of foreign power or state if him swear allegiance? Because Jamaica never swear allegiance to I'm sure Mark Golding himself when he did born never swear allegiance to Jamaica. I'm sure Andrew Wallace when he did born never show no allegiance to Jamaica. I'm sure Darrell Vaz when he did born never swear no allegiance to Jamaica. But people are running with this narrative that if you have dual citizenship, you swear allegiance to the country that you're a dual citizenship. And that's not necessarily true. There are circumstances where you have to swear allegiance. Let me just interject and tell you something else. Let me jump back to me for a minute before me go on, because there's more. Okay, take a breath from the white screen. Now, let me tell you something. Did you know that if you want to become a British citizen, whether dual citizen or just give up whatever other citizenship you have and just be pure British citizen, did you know that there's two options you have? Did you know that? You want to know what the two options are? The first option you have is you can swear an oath of allegiance to Britain and to the monarch and to the king. Just like in America, you have to swear that allegiance. If you have your green card and you want to apply separately to be an American citizen, you have to swear some type of oath. But in the UK, the first option you have to become a British citizen, if you're a foreign national, if you're born a foreign, you're born in Jamaica or wherever else you're born. But Jamaica is in the Commonwealth, so we can't use them. Let's use America. You're an American citizen, born true and true, born and bred. But you come to Britain, you like Britain and you want to become a British citizenship. That American citizen have two options. Them can swear an oath of allegiance, etc., etc. Okay? Or they can pledge. They can do a pledge instead. Now a pledge is slightly different. A pledge means you will accept the British citizenship on the condition that you don't break the law, you don't give any trouble, and you don't cause anything that will bring harm to the country or other citizens. Or basically, if you behave yourself and you be a good person. Yeah, but if you start get involved in all like shenanigans and you do robbery and you do all kind of things and you mess up yourself, then I'm gonna say, well, we can revoke your British citizenship and dash you back into the country where you come from. You understand me? Because you violate. Them can take it from you as easy as them give it to you. Okay? Or you can pledge an allegiance. Now, any smart person would want to pledge their allegiance because that shows that you're more committed to the country to which you're applying for citizenship. Do you understand me? So even if you pledge, you make a pledge to be a good person and not to break the law and to, you know what I mean, and and, you know, defend the upstanding and keeping of the country and etc., then you're good. Or you can swear an oath. Yeah, those are the two options you have. Yeah, but me know if me I go to another country to apply for citizenship, me would probably go for the oath because what that is showing the host country is that you're fully committed. When you do the pledge, they might look on your side, you're like, I don't know, you know. Him want with citizenship, but him don't want swear no oath. Him just him a pledge, but a pledge is nothing but a promise. I said that in previous videos when politicians make all these pledges. We pledge this amount of money earmarked to do this project, and we have this budget that we earmark, and we pledge this to do this, and we pledge. Pledges are just not more than promises, brother. Me promise. But there's no guarantee that the pledge what is made is going to come to any, you know, it's going to bear no fruit. You understand? So that's what I mean. So with that said, a lot of people are using this foreign power and foreign state to run with the narrative that Mark Gold, and mind you, me not defend Mark Golding and say what him do is right, you know, me already done say, me not agree with Mark Golding on the ethical grounds that him should have keep the dual citizenship if him a run for Prime Minister. I did seen subsequently come out that a whole heap of members of Parliament have all kind of different dual citizenship, because let's be honest, most of them have parachute preparations in place so that if anything go wrong, all of them can jump and run out of the country. And another form of parachute is not just dual citizenship to another country, it's also green card or permanent residence in another country. So a lot of people who don't even have dual American citizenship, yeah, trying most of them have them green card. And if things go wrong, them can jump on a plane and fly to America, go live. Because them have a green card which gives them the legitimate right legally to work and live there forever. But they're just not an American citizen. So therefore, if they're not an American citizen, then certain privileges that a citizen get, you don't get. If you're in Britain, you don't have to have British citizenship. You can just have permanent residence, where you have a permit that gives you permanent residence to work and live and do everything and raise a family, just like a citizen does. But you're not afforded the same rights as a British citizen in that respect. So most of these politicians and CEOs and so-called upper echelons of society, the whole of them have them green card so they can parachute when they're ready. The whole of them have them dual citizenship for whatever country them is so they can parachute when they're ready. So to me, my opinion is kind of hypocritical for Andrew Holness to sit up and say, no government who... But then we're hearing rumors that allegedly him already set up himself in a with a Caribbean island in him again, a St. Lucia, where him have everything done pet and powder and copper set and weight. So if him was to lose the next election and then for come after him for prosecute him for whatever alleged thing they want to prosecute him for, we sure say the first place him go run go a St. Lucia. We just hope say St. Lucia have an extradition treaty with Jamaica. So if him run, get him a run and go away at the same time, them just go extradite him back to Britain for stand trial for whatever allegedly them say him need to stand trial for. I don't know what that is. I'm not privy to that information. I'm just saying this is what's flying around. And I'm not going to be irresponsible and say, well, him guilty at A, B, C, D, F, G, because I'm not on a proof or whatever it is them accuse him say him guilty. We don't even know what that is. So me couldn't tell you. But anyway, me digress. Let's just jump back over into the document, because we have to go on to the next section in the Constitution. Yeah, so we're there upon section 40. So we don't go through section 40 and me give you my thing on it already. Restriction of the armed forces outside the profession of legislators. This has to do with judges and people in the armed forces that not apply to Mark. We just take this section which apply that people were using as a defense. We say, Mark Golding's position or legitimate. See there, this is open to interpretation if this means, so the people who write the constitution only need to amend this and clearly clarify that what you mean, because this too vague. This is open to interpretation where both sides can argue for or against. And this is what I said earlier on. This clause that in section 40 that people are used, equally those can use this and argue. But there's so many other sections within the Constitution that would have contradict this, that make no sense. Logically speaking, it would have contradicted. So it's obvious that the conclusion I'm coming to is logically foreign power or state in this context means those countries, those powers and states that's outside of the Constitution. So we need to be honest when we are debate. Now, I could be wrong, I may stand corrected if I'm wrong, and a legal expert can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm taking things in context. I'm going back to 1962 when Jamaica just come out of colonial power, and as you know, them now really want to give up an asset like Jamaica like that. So they're going to trick Jamaica and say, well, you can get independence from being a colony, but you become a vassal state, and we still going to have a privy council, and we still going to have a governor general, and we still going to be the head of state over your country. But we allow you to run elections, we allow you to have a prime minister, but we're going to have a governor general, which represent me, which the people them can't elect and put there. Them can't remove him. The prime minister, the people in Jamaica can't remove the governor general. Do you understand me? So that's what I mean. What kind of, so this is why, how can it be a foreign state and power if this foreign state and power is the highest court in the land, the Privy Council? If this foreign state and power have a governor general in your country, come on, bro, use common sense, use logics. And as I say, me argue this point strongly, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, me give it up and say, well, me did wrong. Me a human being, me not perfect. But me I use logics better. My logic tell me say, that no make no sense. So foreign power and state, I think people are misinterpreting this and taking it out of context simply because them politically biased one side or the other. This is why me no represent, me no pick up from a political party or politician, because it blind you and put on blinkers upon your eyes where you can't debate and look at things objectively. You just look for something where you can find to attack the next person. Like how people use the Bible and attack other people with it, rather than read the Bible in context and in its entirety. People don't do that. They just look for a little snippet in the Bible and use it for ridicule people and bash people over the head with the Bible and label them as this, that, and the third. So we could jump on to the next bit now, which is this. Now, let me blow this up a little bit and draw it down too. So this is 41, which is another one which them quote. So 41 said tenure of office, senators and members of the House representative. It says the seat of a member of either house shall become vacant, upon the next dissolution of Parliament after he have been appointed or elected. If he resigns his seat, none of them now apply to Mark Golding. So attendance by legislators, we read this already, but me do it better. If he is absent from sitting of the House for such period and in such circumstances as may be prescribed in the standing order of the House. We go over that already. We don't know what the prescribed timeline is that is prescribed by the House in that regard. So we don't know if him absent from him seat for 2 weeks, for 2 months, how long he must be absent before he's disqualified from being a senator or member of the House because of his absenteeism. You understand? But this is the next bit where them use within section 41, which is a bit here. We say, if he ceases to be a Commonwealth citizen. Now, I underline this and put it in a red, because as I said to you, how can you have this here that says, if he ceases to be a Commonwealth citizen or takes any oath, or, it says or. So there's options. So if you're a Commonwealth citizen, even if him take an oath within the Commonwealth, that's not within the foreign power, because this would have contradict this, and this foreign power and state would have contradict this, wouldn't it? So it makes sense logically if you say Commonwealth, when they say foreign power and state, they might regard that as outside the Commonwealth, because the first line, of D in 41, which people are used as another tool for attack. If he ceases to be a Commonwealth citizen, well, Mark Golding ceases to be a Commonwealth citizen, or takes any oath, or makes any declaration of acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to any foreign power. No, he hasn't, because even as a dual citizen between Britain and Jamaica, they're both within the Commonwealth for a start. So there's no foreign power or state there. If him did have if him swear allegiance or obedience to adherence to America, then it would have been breach. It would have been in breach if it was America. But mind you, I said, unless you can show me, say, him swear an allegiance to Britain, and even if he did, Britain is not regarded as a foreign power or state, because this constitution is enshrined within the Commonwealth, brother. Come on, people are reading, I read like them blind. So it's easy to misinterpret this and say, oh, see the foreign power and state, so in the Jamaican rate. No, it doesn't. So, or does concurs in or adopts any act done with intention that he shall become a subject or citizen of any foreign power or state. You understand me? So here it says subject or citizen. Now, if you're a dual citizen and you're within the Commonwealth, then that would, so in other words, Darrell Vaz, if he was a citizen of America, dual citizenship with America, so he would have been in breach. So he did the right thing back then when he was in opposition as a shadow minister. He did the right thing. My previous video outlined it. My last video I just uploaded, Darrell Vaz. Go back, go watch it. Yeah, he did the right thing. He had no choice. He had to do it because it was unconstitutional. Because that is a foreign power, and that is a foreign state. Because that not in the Commonwealth, brother. In the Commonwealth. Yeah, and the people in America, American citizens, is nothing to do with Commonwealth citizens. It's only people that's within the Commonwealth can be regarded as Commonwealth citizens, and therefore they're not regarded as foreign power or state. You understand me? So for Mark Golding, him not breach nothing yes, so he's not breaching anything yes, unless you can tell me say him swear allegiance, as I keep repeating, to Britain. And even if he did swear an allegiance to Britain, yeah, it's still within the Commonwealth, so I'm still not breach nothing. You understand me? But if Darrell Vaz swore allegiance to America, he would in a breach. But even Darrell Vaz, there's no proof that Darrell Vaz swore allegiance to America when he got his dual citizenship with America. I don't know if he did. But as I say, in Britain, you can swear an oath or you can make a pledge. That's the two options you have to becoming a British citizen. After you take the relevant tests and pass and whatever else, then you have two choices. You can pledge or you can swear oath. Okay? But then, as I say, this is subjective, and this is why I say people are run with this without thinking. And some people know better, but them are run with it because them think them have something that them can use. And this is why politics is a dirty game, because people need to debate fairly. This can be taken out of context, and this is very ambiguous. And as I've said many times before in this video, the Constitution needs to tighten this up as well. So just like I'm going to show you the one over in 40, yeah, they need to tighten up this foreign power and state thing. See it there? So that's 40, that's 41, yeah. See it there? 41 up there. So they need to tighten this up, because this is allowing people who sometimes could appear disingenuous to use this and run with it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. You need to take things in context. The last thing I'll say is, and I touched on it but I didn't elaborate, is where Darrell Vaz says something along the lines of Mark Golding only got his passport when he was 41. Yeah, and that proves that he only applied for his British passport when he was 41. Now here's the thing, Darrell Vaz. Yes, it could be a situation where he applied for his passport at 41. You know what that is called? It's called renewal of your passport. It doesn't automatically renew. When your passport expires, you have to go back and apply for a new passport for renew it. So that could be just disingenuous, because Mark Golding already said that he been have this passport from him young. He been have the passport from him young. So if you been have the passport from you young, most passports have a 5 or 10 year run, and then after 5 or 10 years it expire. When it expire, you don't have to renew it at that back then, The passport is nothing to do with your citizenship, You understand me? My passport can expire 5, 6, 7 years ago. That not affect my citizenship. A lot of Jamaica don't even have a passport because they've never traveled abroad, but them still a Jamaican citizen. There's lots of people in America and Britain who don't have a British passport or an American passport because they haven't need one. It's basically a travel document. That's all it is. It not have nothing for do with your citizenship. It's a travel document that you use when you travel. You don't take your birth certificate with you when you travel. You take your passport. It's a travel document where you stamp your visas and etc. and your green card or your permanent residence is stamped in it. That's what it's there for. So the fact that he had his passport from he was young, which he stated, and I'm just going to take his word for it, it would have meant that his passport would have expired and he probably would have subsequently renewed it several times over the years. Or him probably when it expired, him never renew it, but him still having British citizenship. Just like how Jamaicans have them passport and them passport expire, but they might not have renewed them passport. People have other things to do. They might only renew them passport when they realize it's imminent and they want to travel and they want to go abroad and them say, Ram, I'm going to renew. Let me say, Ram, my passport expire. When it expire? Shit, it expired 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Damn, I'm going to renew my passport here because I want to go abroad and whatever. So that's what that means. So it means that because the man apply and renewing passport or apply for his passport when he was 41 years old, it means that's when he applied for his my apologies. When he applied for his Jamaican passport when he's 41, it could have meant simply that prior to that, maybe he was traveling on his British passport. But that doesn't mean he's not a British citizen. Sorry, he's not an American Jamaican citizen, because he's born in Jamaica, brother. In birth certificates to Jamaica. So, as I say, it's a travel document. So maybe he's been using the passport when him go to Britain and maybe when him go to America. Because let's face it, let's be honest and stop being disingenuous. If you want to go travel abroad right now, yeah, the chances are if you have a British passport, you're not going to hassle the custom. The chances are if you have a British passport, you're more likely, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but you're probably more likely to get a visa as a British citizen than to get a visa as a Jamaican citizen. So when you go up at the American embassy for your visa, if you present your British passport and all your other affairs are in order, they're more likely to lean to the point that, listen, him having British passport, so I'm good, as opposed to you have a Jamaican passport, especially if you've never traveled before. It'll go a bit harder for you because them think, wait, him have assets where him have. I don't want him go run off. Him not have to run off because at the end of the day, him can always come to Britain. Just like most people who can always go to America or whichever other country them go. So that's my point on that. I don't want to go on about this too much, but I'm just saying this to say people need to be genuine, because a passport is nothing more than just a document when you want to travel. And yes, maybe him apply for him Jamaican passport when he was 41 and him start use it at the age of 41, but that has nothing to do with the fact that if him been using the British passport before that, that's simply because of travel convenience. The same Darvas were attacking me now, are the same Darvas who used to have dual citizenship with America, which would have been unconstitutional if him did keep it and remain. That's why he had to renounce it. Okay. And that's my point. But you see, politics is a dirty game. And there's a lot of people out here with dunce and them not read and them lazy. And there's another set of people who them know better, but because them partisan, them argue and use a snippet of something and take it out of proportion and misinterpret it for them own narrative. And I think that's what's going on here with these two constitutions. People are looking at the term foreign power and state and swearing allegiance and acknowledgement and obedience and adherence to another country. And I'm thinking, you see it? That means him swear allegiance. That's unless he can show me the document where him swear allegiance, yeah, then you're just assuming he shared allegiance, because being a citizen of a country does not automatically mean you've sworn an allegiance to that country. Because most of Jamaican are beat up on a gum. Uno no swear no allegiance to Jamaica. Uno born in Jamaica, uno getting a birth certificate, and if uno want to travel, uno apply for a passport. And at no point, as far as I understand it, that somebody said to you, oh, by the way, you need to come swear allegiance before you can get your passport, or you need to swear your allegiance before you can get your birth certificate. Do you understand me? Excuse me. So this is what I'm saying. Me no want to beat this up anymore than me already beat it. So I just think people need to take things in context, and everything here is proving to you that if he ceases to be a Commonwealth, if he hasn't ceased to be a citizen of the Commonwealth, then how come foreign power and allegiance come into it? When, from what I can understand, foreign power and allegiance and state would have to mean if you're outside the Commonwealth. So in other words, if Mark going in swear allegiance to America, then yes, this would apply. But him in the Commonwealth, brother, and he's a Commonwealth citizen. So therefore, any allegiance, if he did swear any allegiance, which there's no proof he has, but if he did, it still wouldn't make any difference because it's within the Commonwealth, and the head of state of the Commonwealth is the king, and the head of state of Jamaica is the king. That's why you have a governor general in your country. You're not free and independent. You're a vassal state. And this is why Jamaica right now are fight for real independence, because the fake one with them give was a trick. Now them are fight for the real thing with the Republican, to be a republic, be free. But then you have your Privy Council, which still can overturn any decision where your court make. You forget the Privy Council demand that the government legal team pay Vibes Cartel legal fees. Now, if there was, but if that was the case, and Jamaica wasn't a vassal state, and foreign power and foreign state would be regarded, Britain would be regarded as a foreign power or a foreign state. You think any foreign power or foreign state could have tell Jamaica, say, you need to pay back Vibes Cartel legal fees? You think say Vibes Cartel case would have even go to another foreign country? You can't take Vibes Cartel case go America. You can't take it. They might say, what that have to do with we? Your system and food system are two different things. You're a foreign state. You can't bring Vibes Cartel case to we, and we can't tell the Jamaican government to pay back Vibes Cartel legal fees. So this is why the term foreign power and foreign state doesn't apply, because they're talking about outside the Commonwealth. That's when it applies. You understand me? So with that, me done, because let me jump back to me, because I not understand, you know. Me really not understand, you know, at all. I mean, me go on for a video longer than me want to go, but me know how Jamaican people think. If you know really go the 100 mile, some Jamaican people just I go through one year and I go through the other. We need to be honest. You understand me? This is why I'm not follow politicians. I'm not follow. Me done for the millionth time. Me go tell you no, cause I'm no selective hearing, you know. When you hear someone you not like, on straight away label the person and say, yeah, I'm a labor right, and or I'm a PNP, I'm a PNP supporter, and I'm a this and I'm a that, why I'm a say that. No discernment, no critical thinking, no comprehension, and that, none of that. People just hear what them want hear and run with them narrative because them partisan. And if that's where you're going to come with, good luck to you, but me not entertain that, quite frankly, because you can't grow and improve as a country if you got a politician that program on and have one under some spell where you can't even think for yourself. We're not brain on the head for if you can't use it. And that brings me on to another matter before I close. That's probably why the government have so much lack of resources and investment in the education system. Because it is said that a country with an electorate that's dunce and illiterate is easier to rule than one that's educated. If you have a bunch of people that's educated, that's a very difficult country for your government to run, because every step them might get criticized, they might get analyzed, they might get questioned. Do you understand me? But when you have a set of dunce people who can't even read and write, even write their name, that's the perfect people that a government want rule over, because you can tell them anything and them just run with it and say, well, if the boss says so it go. Like when back in the days when slaves couldn't read, the Bible was read to them rather than them give them the Bible and teach them to read it themselves. The minute slaves learn how to read, they learned how to free themselves. The minute slaves learned how to read secretly, they could be able to organize them revolt and uprising and riot and free themselves from metaphorically slavery. Because we can argue say it's still going in one form or the other. But you understand what I mean? The raw form of slavery from back in the day when Jamaica was a colony. But when the slaves them learn how to read and write, them learn how to organize. And when them see documents, them pretend them can't read it. And then them say, oh, so this a go ship over here and that a go there. So they can organize rebellion and how to burn down this and burn down that and do this and do that. Oh, masters, him a leave and him a go away for 3 days. So while him go, we can revolt and take over the plantation and we can do this and do that. But if you can't read it and one letter come in and it tell you, say, boy, the plantation master, whatever, go leave for 3 or 4 days, so the staff will go short. You don't know no better. So them play a fool for catch wise. So a government, when everybody dunce and can't read and I promote this dunce thing from the Valiant song, when you do that, that's crazy, because what you've done is That's exactly the type of the type of population that a government want to rule over. They don't want to rule over people who are intelligent and educated, because them not gonna get away with nothing. Because the minute you put on something, somebody gonna say, well, in a minute, this not look right. Or come this in the Constitution. That clause you need to take out because it could be misinterpreted and used in this way. We need to tighten this up. We need to clarify this. Which is what I'm coming back to when I come over here. When normal average person like myself I read this, me straight away see the flaw. Me see the flaw in this, and me see the flaw in this. And having seen that flaw, yeah, but understand now and recognize why people are use this as a defense and I run with this. Because it's not tight. But if you the more you argue this, the more you realize this foreign state and power thing is to do with outside of the Commonwealth. Because it says it there, that's why I'm underlining it. So if this is true, then this can be true. And if this is true, this can be true. So obviously this is supporting that. And what this means is if you're outside the Commonwealth, then you're regarded as a foreign power and a state, and a foreign state. Like America, for example. So with that says, boy, I don't know what you say. Because at the end of the day, I don't give my full 100 already, and who want here, I'm not force nothing down anybody's throat, you know. You guys can read the Constitution and interpret it and form your own thing. But what this has shown me is that the Constitution needs to be revised, and a lot of these look of vague and loose term need to tighten up, because what it's done is open up the door for controversy, for contradiction, and for people to misinterpret it and say what it means. Like if you don't define what up is and what down is, you know, say anybody can equally argue that up is down and down is up. You have to have a clear definition of what is up, where is up, where is east, where is west, where is north, and where is south. You have to make that definition, and you have to make that distinction, and you have to clarify that crystal clear. So when you point to the west, nobody can say, no, that's not the west, you know, that's the east. You have it mixed up, you know. West or over there, so with the north there. No, you have to have clarity. So there is no ambiguity in the law, so that the Constitution, so that nobody can argue, because this is a minefield for lawyers. And I can imagine lawyers will have a field day with this. Because they will go in a court from now till when hell freeze over to argue them two different clauses in a section 40 and 41. Because it's so ambiguous. And that's all it is. So with that said, that's it, me done.